Hello there, this is Pastor Henry Folgoso with another video devotional for Farmersville United Methodist Church. My friends, as we continue exploring the Gospel of Luke, we have reached chapter 18 right now, and we're going to be talking about verses 1 to 8. But in order for us to understand the reason why Jesus told us this little parable, we have to read a little before in chapter 17, verses 20 and up. The biggest thing is that the Pharisees asked him about the returning or the coming of the kingdom. So, see, my friends, the thing is that in Luke's time, the church was experiencing persecution and they were longing for the parousia, which is the second coming. And they were expected to be, when Jesus, or they were expecting Jesus to vindicate them and to end their suffering. The problem is that this parousia, the second coming, was taking too long, and the disciples were finding themselves very difficult to maintain their faith. So Jesus, again, in chapter 17, he's talking about this issue. The second coming will be something very dramatic and visible, but it is among us. This is what he said. It is among us or within us. So Jesus, this is what he says. The days will come when you will desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and you will not see it. This is exactly what's happening in the time of Luke. Now, if you ask me, my friends, it is happening right here, right now as well. If you know, people have always said, hey, Jesus is coming, and still there's no Jesus. But instead, we hear and we see troubles and troubles and troubles. See, my friends, the disciples knew this was going on. And this is why Jesus again brings us a routine. And he says that just like in the time of Noah and what happened in the time of flood, it is going to be the same way when the Son of Man is revealed. Friends, it is true. Things are very, very crazy right now. So this gospel lesson we're considering, chapter 18 of Luke, verses 1 to 8, continues to address the issue of faith in difficult times. And it reassures the disciple that God hears our prayers, and it still does. Something I've been sharing with you all these devotionals and on-demand services. So Jesus calls us to maintain hope through the darkest of days. So this parable also tells us that discipleship is not an easy road, but remind us that God will vindicate faithful disciples. See, I forgot to mention that this Sunday, it is Laity Sunday, which is basically the ministry of all people. You and I are invited to be part of it. See, Jesus wants us to all be servants of him. Anyways, now, the verses we're considering starts with how important prayer is. You know, for Luke, prayer is super important. He tells us that Jesus prayed even to this fervent prayer in the Mount of Olives where we saw drops of blood coming from his forehead. And he also teaches us how to pray. Now, the parable also follows that the persistent prayer of the widow, it is very important, but it tells us about the character of God. Now, there is one question though. Is the purpose of prayer only to bring our hearts in line with God's will, or does it also change God's mind? There's no question that persistent prayer, which is basically a continuing communion with God, reshapes our hearts to God's original design. I love this. So when you and I are restored to God's original design, then those clogged channels are cleared, and then we can receive God's mercy. But there's a caution though. We prefer that we want those prayers that grant what we ask and how we ask it. We want it quickly, like microwaves. You know, we expect our doctors to give us the relief of our pain right away. We expect technology to provide an instant communication. See, but God does not promise instant answers to prayer. However, this parable seems to teach that God's will, which is always good, is weighed by persistent prayer. If we read Psalm 18, verses 6 to 16, we know that David recounts how God interceded with earthquakes and smoke and fire and answer to his fervent prayer. So, my friends, I would like for you to read chapter 18 of Luke and also 17 from 20 and on, chapter 18, 1 to 8. But also I would like for you to read 2 Timothy chapter 3, 14 to 4, 5. And this is where Paul, as a mentor to Timothy and us, is telling us to be persistent. And of course, it is a good reminder that this is our faith journey, which is basically the path for our discipleship. So again, as always, if you want to hear a little more about this passage, please come join us at Farmersville United Methodist Church at 110 West Center Street in Farmersville. Or you can always check us on demand service on Facebook. Don't forget to like us and follow us also on our YouTube channel. Until next time, God bless.